So I recently got a Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter lens, and yesterday I went into the jungle, or rather the urban jungle right in front of my house to test it out. And apparently I got some amazing photos and I was editing them, but then I realized, why should I just do it alone? I might as well just record what I'm doing, right? So welcome to the video. I'm gonna here show you how I can make some amazing looking photos with your raws. All right, so we've got this photo and this is what we're going to edit today. So if you look at it, we've got some sharp yellow eyes on this bird, and the very first thing that I want to do right now before I even start editing is remove this extra sharpness that Photoshop adds. So I'm gonna bring it back to 0 and it now looks a lot more natural. Alright, and Photoshop also, like the latest Photoshop version, also has this amazing feature which is called AI Denoise. And if you just click on it, it's gonna go ahead and analyze the entire photo and do an amazing job of denoising the entire photo along with keeping the details as sharp. But it takes a second, so yeah. Alright, so now if you look at it, still have all the details preserved, but the image looks really denoised, but it is, in my opinion, more denoised than I want it to be. So I'm gonna reduce the denoise effect to around, let's say 20, right? And that seems perfect to me. Okay, so the bird is very small in the photo, so let's do some cropping and let's make it a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna do a 16:9 crop, and let's just bring the bird somewhere here. We're going to follow the rule of thirds, so we're going to keep the bird somewhere in the intersection of these lines, and I think this looks perfect to me. Now the next step of editing is doing a lot of mask. So if you see, there is a light coming in from this direction towards the bird, and then the eyes are also shining a lot, so we want to enhance that effect. So in order to do that, let's just go to our masking option and let's select objects, and I'm just going to select my bird here, and Photoshop does a great job just selecting the bird. So let's enhance the bird a little bit. So I'm gonna increase the exposure, right? Increase the contrast, maybe add a little bit of highlights. Actually, let's leave the highlights for now. Let's increase the saturation a bit as well. Yep. Now let's go to the background, and I want the background to be edited separately. So what we'll do is we'll add a linear gradient here, and I want this side of the photo to be a little bit darker because again the light is coming from one direction. So let's make it more 3D, but I don't want this gradient to affect my bird, right? So let's click on subtract, select object, and I'm going to select my bird once again to remove the bird from that mask, and there we go. So let's reduce the exposure a bit here, and we're going to change, like reduce the temperature to a little bit of bluish color to make it more cooler, and let's remove some highlights, remove some white, and if you see, the photo is looking really pink, so I'm going to add some greens into it. Alright, great. So we added the shadows, but let's also add some glow. So we're going to need another mask here, and this time we're going to use a radial gradient, and let's add that right here. And again, I don't want to add my bird into it because I want to edit that separately, right? So I'm going to subtract object and select the bird again. So let's increase the exposure here. Let's also add some dehaze to give it a slight glow. I'm gonna make it a bit warmer because it's a sunset scene, and let's put blacks, up our highlights, up our white. Actually, I'm gonna reduce the exposure and let's just play it. All right, our photo is already looking amazing, but I want to take it a step further, right? So let's go ahead and add an object mask once again. So select object, select the bird right here, and what I'll do here though is I'll subtract it with a brush, right? So let's reduce the size of the brush. And if you see, there are a lot of highlights coming into one side of the bird. So we're going to remove any section that doesn't have a highlight, right? So like this. Now, why are we doing that? This is more to enhance the light that is coming on the bird. So I'm going to increase the highlights here, maybe increase the whites, make this a bit warmer again, increase the clarity, maybe to get back those details that went away, and increase the contrast. All right, so now if I look at it before and after, it just gives a slight glow to the bird, which again looks amazing. Let's maybe also try and decrease the dehaze. Maybe not. All right, now that we have made one side really bright, let's also try and reduce the contrast or reduce the light from the other side of the bird, right? So in order to do that, again, we're going to repeat the same process, which is add an object mask to the bird here. And then this time we will subtract the brush from the highlights. Remove the highlights. And then let's increase the shadows, reduce the whites a bit, maybe reduce the highlights and make it a little bit darker. So why are we doing this? Well, it's because it gives the bird a little bit of that 3D effect as the light is bouncing off of its body. Now, one last thing that I would like to do on this is enhance the eyes, because I really love how the eyes of this bird is looking. So what I'm going to do is I'll add another radial gradient, and let's zoom in here before we add it, right? And I'm going to select the eyes specifically here. Now make sure it is 100% feathered, and I'm going to increase the exposure, right? Exposure, highlight, maybe the whites a bit, and let's make them more saturated, right? So this is before, this is after, and I guess that's all the masking that I'm going to do on this. I still think that the image is a bit noisy, so I'm going to increase it to 30. Maybe think it's looking great. Now also I'm going to reduce the remove some of the color noise that is still there. So if I zoom in here, and if you look at this, so there is a slight color noise which you might not be able to see because of YouTube compression, but I'm just gonna remove it by increasing the color noise section to like 14. Now let's also remove the chromatic aberrations, and also do some distortion correction. I think Photoshop does a great job by keeping the profile of each lenses. So it has automatically selected my lens that I've used. And let's also remove defringing. And I guess that's it. Now, if you want to compare, this is the photo before and this is after, right? And it just gives it so much life. And let me zoom in and show you again, right? So this is before and this is after. But yeah, I guess that's it. That's exactly how I edit my photos. So if you like this video, please make sure to drop a like, and I'll see you in the next one.